So, welcome to this issue of Learning Leaders. I'm so excited to have today Vishahka with us. So, Vishahka is a student in the Master's Program of Instructional Design and Technology at Commonwealth University, formerly Bloomsburg University, and she's done a project that is so interesting and unique. I really wanted to have her show it off. And not only is it unique for us, but she actually won the Demo Fest student award with the projects that she's done. So I really think we can learn a lot from the work that Vishahka has created. So Vishahka, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your project?
Hi, Dr. Kapp. Hi, everyone. My name is Vishahka Hegde. So I'm a full-time student. I'm doing my master's in instructional design and technology at Bloomsburg University. And I'm in my last semester of my program, and DevLearn happened in my first semester. It made my semester really eventful and memorable, if I have to say, because I didn't expect it would be so much. When I submitted my idea, I wasn't sure it was going to get selected, but when it did, realization hit me that I need to actually build out the project, and that's when it all started. It was quite a journey, I would say, because I had a lot of learning experiences throughout the journey, and while I was doing my classes, it was a great way to implement whatever I was learning in classes in a hands-on project. And I was really able to do that with the hands-on training that I was receiving in classes. That was the way I started. I would love to take you through my project and also show my challenges or the process I adopted for it. I started with a little character, and she's actually named after my best friend Marui. So I started with this character animation, which is basically a looping animation done in Storyline. I watched a YouTube tutorial to do this. I mean, there are several tutorials for completing a looping animation, and that's one of the tutorials I used. So So this is the Hindi translation for Nana's Remedies. It's called Nani Ke Nuskhe. Nuskhe basically mean these kind of remedies that our grandmothers tend to share with us. So I started with an intro. I stuck to a minimalistic black and white theme, and I thought I would have it would serve as an interesting hook because those images were really captivating and compelling in just to view. So I designed this little character in Adobe Illustrator. There's a little disclaimer because these are natural remedies, but should anyone have an allergy to any of the ingredients that are being used, I would highly request them to just take precaution and consult their consult medical professionals. I use some animations to add that element of fun and movement on the screen. I used videos in the background, and of course, I wanted to introduce these terms that are used in Hindi, and that's why I put up a little definition of these. This is the main page where where one can access the remedies. There are 5 remedies, and upon clicking each one, you first get to see the remedy, and once you jump in, you'll actually see the steps that you need to complete to use the remedy. So it's a plain basic navigation I chose to keep it really simple and clean, use white backgrounds so that there's enough contrast, and use images so that people can connect with what's being talked about. Once you reach the end, you just close the screen and you can view the other remedies in a similar. Once you're done with this stage, ideally, you have to go through each remedy and be prepared for the next phases, because your knowledge will be tested in the next phase. So the second phase is a shopping experience I designed. I would say I was hugely inspired by one of my favorite board games, which is Codenames. Um, I played very often with my friends, and I really chose to use that narrative and apply it here while I was when I was designing the shopping experience. So there are rules, and you go shopping. So there is a timer there. There will be clues given as to how many ingredients you need to pick up. And there are 5 levels. So this is the first level. The timer has gone off, and you need to get 2 ingredients for this particular ailment, which is a heartburn. So I'm going to choose this, and I'm going to add them to my bag. And once I get them right, these turn green, and also my shopping bag turns green, and I can continue shopping. Dr. Kapp, do you want to take a shot at this one?
Yeah, let me give it a shot. So this is flatulence. So I believe, was it? I can't remember. It was. There are 2 ingredients. So let's do. I think. Is there caraway seeds? No. Jaggery seeds? Yeah.
Oops, ran out of time.
Oh, I'm too slow.
Okay, we
Well,
can.
now the curiosity is getting to me. So it switches. So I know this one based on water.
Yeah.
And so let me just take a guess. So how about turmeric and cumin seeds?
Okay. You got one right.
I got one.
So you need to get
Coriander. Oh, God.
cumin seeds. Yeah. So
Water.
you need to
Okay.
get both ingredients correct. I mean, according to the clues given, you need to get all of it correct, and then you go shopping. So again, just based on the way Codenames is designed, I think it's a really simple formula for win. So
I like how you were inspired by a game to set this up, this interaction, and how you can take lessons from one area, especially games, and then apply it to the online environment. Very clever.
So I'm just going to proceed. These 5 levels are designed in this way, and the last one is a longer one because it's a longer remedy, and it has 7 ingredients that you need to get out of, I think, more than 13 to 14 ingredients. So and there's more time for you to do it as well. Oops. I'm just going to add these, and these were the right ones. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I have a menu put up out here. Ideally, if you don't get at least 3 levels correct, you won't be able to proceed to the final phase. So I didn't want to block myself out in this demonstration, so I won't shop again. I will move to the last stage, which is the quest. So this stage is actually a board game that I designed. I deconstructed about 4 to 5 board games to come up with mine, and I used the eLearning Heroes community resources that were available. So this one has a goal. You need to complete Nana's quest and heal Maru. There are rules, and you can access the rules anytime, at any point of time by just clicking this icon. You'll be able to see what you need to do. So there are lives, there's a health meter that you need to turn green, and there are special landings. So I'm going to start the quest. This is just a classic board game selection of player. So green this time. So there's Maru that in the center that needs to be healed. There are lives up here, and there's a health meter that needs to turn green to heal Maru. I'm going to start by rolling the dice. So in this stage, the learner is actually tested on the steps to complete the remedy. So it's a scaffolded approach where the second stage was all about getting the ingredients, and the third stage and the final stage is all about getting the steps right to complete the remedy. So I'm just going to... So I have my lives, my health meter started turning green, and Maru is looking healthier as well. So there are special landings where you could lose a life, or you could get a life, or you could get a hint. So there are 3 special landings. I'm just going to go with 2. There she is. She's getting healthier, and this is the way we just complete the board game and turn Maru green. Once the health meter turns green, you need to complete the second part of the goal, which is completing the quest, and that'll happen once you cross the finish line. And as I said, you can access the rules at any point of time. You could also switch from this stage to any other stage if you just want to get back to the remedies, have a quick look at something. But ideally, to not, and again, this is for the purpose of the demonstration, but ideally you would want to stay and complete this experience and not take a break from the game, because who likes to? Yeah. So that's my game, Dr. Kapp. I hope, and my project. So I hope this was...
Oh no, it's very, very fascinating. I love the game that you put in there. I like how you get the feedback of the character becoming, Mara becoming more and more healthy. I think that's a great process and a great way to do that. And a lot of fun, fun way to learn that. So and I also like how you have the content, then you have kind of the application of the content. So you're learning what you need to do, and then you're learning how to apply it. So what are some other learnings in terms of development and design that you either were struggled with or kind of gave you heartburn and you had to use your remedy, or that you thought were really kind of interesting and that you did? I really liked how you had the dice and you rolled the dice. I'm assuming that was just a variable combination.
Yes, I actually referred to quite a few board games. I deconstructed 4 or 5 board games, and I found them on the eLearning Heroes community. And I kind of got I kind of had a plan as to I have a dice rolling and I need to move places and all that. But I was truly inspired by one of the classic games, which is Snakes and Ladders, that was put up in the community, and I understood, what needs to be done by adding in a variable and adding in a motion path and everything. So that's the method I chose to adopt for the final stage.
Before you came into the program, did you know Storyline, or did this give you deeper and richer knowledge in order to do kind of the layered approach that you did?
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say I had much experience. I started with Intro to Authoring as my first course in the program, and that really helped me develop this, develop a mindset towards development. I wasn't a core developer. I had been in the L&D space, and I think my idea of Articulate was just an advanced version of PowerPoint, but I didn't really know what needs to be done while adding to add triggers, to add animations or motion path animations. And I'm taking intro to authoring was actually done by is actually taken by Dr. Briskin, and I think it's been one of my favorite courses in the program as well. And that's where I really fell in love with e-learning development. And also just visual design principles coming from Dr. Briskin really helped me adapt a minimalistic theme and realize simple is good when it comes to design.
Oh,
So
no, fantastic. Yeah, yeah. I know she puts a lot of emphasis on having the right design, the right feeling given in for the project based on visual design concepts. So yeah, that's fantastic, and you applied them, beautifully. So let's see this crib sheet. I'm anxious to see what what kind of cheat codes I can grab from that.
So I think I like to believe that I'm a very organized person. So I had a very clear plan from the very beginning. And when I submitted my idea, I wasn't sure I would be able to execute 100% of it. But I had a trimmed version of the initial plan in case some piece didn't work out. So I think my first tip to myself has been have a plan and be flexible about it. So I was very mindful about the time I spent on when I was developing. If something didn't work, I chose to leave that path and move on because there was so much to be done in the project. The I think the second one would be to have a solid storyboard. Again, I think once I started this formal instructional design program, I realized that it's good to stick to the basics and sticking to an ID process that works will work. So I really had a solid storyboard. I used plain old pen and paper, and at this point, I also knew that I was going to use a black and white minimalistic theme. I'm going to use line drawings for most illustrations and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So just that step and having a process that you can follow helps. This, I think the next one would be visual design inspiration. So I personally spend a lot of time on Behance, Dribble, even Vecteezy, Freepik, and YouTube. Sometimes I'm inspired by PowerPoint presentations for layouts, themes, or even assets. And I spend more time than required watching motion graphics videos because they really fascinate me. And I try to recreate them in Storyline or even PowerPoint. The more animations in PowerPoint are highly underrated, and I love using them. Um,
Oh, that's fantastic. So did you have like a mood board or a kind of idea board that you put together or file or?
yes, so I did have a storyboard. Initially, I started with my pen and paper, but then I chose to use Adobe XD. Again, we have access to Adobe Creative Cloud through our university, and Dr. Briskin's course had me got me learning to use Adobe XD. I'd used Figma before, but I'd not used Adobe XD as much. So that really helped me just develop a basic prototype and figure out what goes where in my project. So
Oh,
that
fantastic.
I think the other thing was a, a lifesaver hack for me was developing in chunks. So I can just share my screen again to. So I really exploited Storyline's import option. So when I initially developed my intro to the project, which is just this theme. Oops, can't even get there. So it's just this intro piece, and I realized my file was getting really heavy and I didn't want to proceed. I've learned my lesson the hard way that technology somehow knows the exact moment to give up on me, and I didn't want to take a chance. So I chose to develop the entire project in chunks, and that really helped me avoid any crashes or any major disaster for that matter. So I have one scene for the stage 2. I have stage 3, and stage 1, of course, developed in different files, and then brought together and compiled into one. So I think
Okay, so you could even use those almost as a template as well for
yes,
different projects. Hmm.
Yes, very much so. I think the only thing that I was careful about was using the same, keeping the same theme across all files, because sometimes when you're working on different files, you may not realize, but a, a small element can make your project look very different in different phases as well. So that was the only thing I needed to be mindful about, but I think this
So
process really helped.
yeah, interesting. So you mean something like a random font that accidentally gets in there, or
Yes.
something along those lines?
Yes. Since I think I developed this project across 2.5 months. So since I had classes going on, I was also working as a grad assistant. So it really had me approach this project in with a different perspective. I had a fresh perspective every time I sat down and worked on this project. So this really helped me just being mindful about the fonts I've used, the elements I've used, the style of the elements I've used, the photographs I've used. So I think that really helped me.
Yeah, that's a great idea, especially when you have a project, as you said, that you're not working on start to finish all at one time, but spread out over time. Having those that consistency becomes important.
So yeah, that's I think consistency and developing in chunks for a complicated project, for a lengthy project. I think this was my lifesaver hack. uh, the other thing was I believe animations. Because of my fascination with motion graphics, I tend to use a lot of animations, but this one I chose to tell myself that, hey, I'm not going to use distracting animations like animating the text or images or the main content. And that again comes a lot from my professor. I think, I mean, Dr. Briskin, because I've heard her say that, when you're looking at the screen, your eyes shouldn't get distracted by, too much movement or anything on the screen. So yeah, the other thing I believe that really helped me was just finding inspiration around me, and as I said, deconstructing existing resources. I learned to do this better later in your gamification classes, Dr. Kapp. But for this project, I only had that option. I did try to deconstruct several board games, and as I said, the Snakes and Ladders game really helped me set up my structure and framework for the third phase as well.
Oh, no, that's great. Yeah, and I always say, yeah, after that class, it kind of ruins playing games because you have to deconstruct it and see what it does. But I like the idea that um, even your activity was very game-like, and even before you get to the board game, the activity is kind of game-like and inspired by a game. And I think a lot of people don't realize that you can be inspired to create interesting and engaging online learning from games, even if it's not 100% a game. Now, obviously, you did the game at the end, but kind of that middle piece, I think, is a good way to think about that.
Right. So I think this has really helped me. I have a little notebook where I jot down ideas and I want to develop into learning experiences. And most of them are about games and even playing cards. Sometimes when you're playing cards, I think there are some strategies that just sit with you and you can use in a learning experience. And for example, I think using the classic hopscotch grid has been on my list for a long time right now. And I really think you can do so much with just, landing on each square, or even the flip that you do at the end. So there's so much that can be done with any classic game. And I believe I've learned that best from you in your classes, Dr. Kapp.
Thank you. But very interesting. The hopscotch. I can't wait to play to experience the e-learning that you've created with the hopscotch concept. Right. I think that's very interesting.
Yes.
So that'll be fun.
So yeah, and I think the last tip I have to myself and everybody is to be shameless and use humans around you to test your project. I tested this several times with my family and friends, much to their annoyance, but it really helped me improve my project a lot and eliminate any errors. And it's also a confidence booster because there's no what if that button's not working on that screen. It's I think e-learning developers hashtag if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's so interesting. If we want to put theory around that, it's called the formative evaluation process, as you know. And I think people we get so caught up in development that sometimes we forget that formative evaluation process and how meaningful that can be to our final product. So I think that that's a great reminder, a great. I don't know if I'd call that a hack because it should be part of the thing, but sometimes things we forget become hacks. So I think that's a really good hack. Yeah, great. Well, this has been wonderful. Really impressive project and really helpful cheat sheet for what we want to do to create instruction and figure out how construction is created. So, Vishak, I really want to thank you for your time and for showing us your product, explaining a little bit how it works, where you got your inspiration from, and how just your tip about chunking and about consistency. I think is very important for projects like this, as well as the formative evaluation. So, thanks very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kapp. This was, I think it's an honor to just represent your university at an event like this. DevLearn was major, in the major league for me, and it really made me realize there's so much in this field to be explored. I mean, there's so much to explore in this field, and I think this is just a beginning.
Right. Yeah. It's a vast field, which I think is what makes it exciting, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so many things you can do and so many interesting things that can be done. We might have to have you back to talk about animating PowerPoint because that's another kind of exciting thing. So thanks, Vishaka.